Welcome, everybody. And I'll just give people a few more minutes, but basically do some quick notes here. So the agenda, we're going to have an update from the Ottawa Public Library. Abby, I see you're on board. Great. Got your slides set up. A number of people, also Kathy Curry, Barbara Ramsey is going to speak on our wonderful shall we say, round two, second inning of appeals. I have a recorded message from
I don't know how I could speak if I want to.
From the WOCRC and Melanie. I see you're online as well, so got you in with a slide in here to talk about First Canada Scouts. So that'll be the first half of the meeting. So we'll give it 2 or 3 more minutes. So one of the key things we want to talk about from the KBCA is renewal, and that's restarting, getting more community events going, and also more volunteering. One thing that I've read quite a bit on in the recent 18 months is that everybody has seen a marked drop-off in community participation since COVID, and it has not bounced back, just like transit in Ottawa has not bounced back. So there's certainly some dynamics, human dynamics, that is still lingering around that needs some shaking. Now, we did run we ran 3 street parties last summer as a dry run. We've already got 2 more signed up to start in June. So that's certainly one way we want to encourage people to connect with each other is talk to your neighbor who you may not know yet because they moved in 3 years ago and they haven't necessarily been in. So, all right, shall we kick this off, Abby? I will flick over if you just want to introduce yourself briefly and.
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Abby Clark. I'm a community outreach librarian at your local Beaverbrook branch. That's at 2500 Campo Drive. I'm very happy to be here tonight and have the opportunity to share some of the free, fun services and events that we have at the library. So I'll get started here. We have a ton of programs for all ages at the library. You can join us for creative and educational programs for all ages. So you can join us for things like trivia nights once a month where you can show off your knowledge, have some refreshments, win some prizes, along with, of course, the respect of the trivia community. Our next game is scheduled for late May. That is an adult program. Adults can also join us for things like our quilling programs. That's on April 26th. That's where you can create unique art using just strips of paper, some things like paint. You can also find your next mindful and favorite hobby at our Calm and Creative Art series, which has 2 more sessions, one on May 3rd and the next on June 14th. Of course, we also offer educational programs, as the library does, like our Parenting in Ottawa drop-in programs every Wednesday, where you can speak with a public health nurse about infant feeding and parenting. Newcomers can join our English conversation group on Tuesday evenings to improve their language skills, find a community, and anyone can join a representative from the Home Hospice Association for a group-directed Death Cafe on April 25th. This is where you can find a safe and non-judgmental space to talk about difficult topics. You can also learn how to better protect your computer and your projects at Protecting Your PC, which is directed by the Ottawa PC Users Group. That's on May 2nd. And learn tips and techniques for better photos on your vacations on their next session on June 20th. We have lots of kids and teens programs as well. So the teens can join us for video game drop-in programs after school on Tuesdays, along with retro movie afternoon screenings on Wednesdays. It often does come with popcorn. Kids and families can enjoy drop-in programs like story times on Saturdays and Wednesdays, stay and play programs, which is exactly what it sounds like. They can just stay and play with us on Wednesdays. Lego parties, again, exactly what it sounds like. We're just going to play with a lot of Lego on Mondays in June. And of course, family game nights on Mondays. That's a really fun program. Just drop in, bring your own game, or play one of ours as a family. You can also keep your eye out for the upcoming summer TD Summer Reading Club that we do every year. This encourages to keep your family reading all summer long and combat that summer slide, while also enjoying some unique and fun programs and also often some prizes. But there is so much more to discover past our free library programs, just like the Ottawa Public Library's new book club kits that can help start or support existing book clubs. We have over 90 titles. You can get 10 copies of a book, keep it for 6 weeks, and enjoy it with your book club. It also comes with discussion questions, so you don't have to write your own. We also now offer Chromebook laptops that are loanable for up to 3 months. And we have a wide range of books, magazines, technology, what we call high caliber online resources, and accessible formats available, of course, for free. Have you heard about our digitization lab, where you can digitize slides, negatives, photographs, VHS tapes, or in Super 8 or 8mm reels, again, for free? That is available to you. You can make an appointment online. Have you heard about our loanable telescopes? I'm talking really high caliber, very real, big telescopes that you can watch the stars with. We're also thrilled to partner with the Community Backyard Garden Project again this summer, where new gardeners can learn how to grow healthy produce. All gardeners in the community can donate part of their harvest this year to share at the local free food sharing stands at the Beaverbrook and Carp branches of the Ottawa Public Library. You can build community, combat food security at the same time. The project also offers free seeds and support and gardening expertise for those just looking to get started. You can learn more about the Community Backyard Garden Project on their website. I will pop that into the chat at the end, just so everybody has it written down. And you can learn more about all the library has to offer and how to register for all these great programs at bibliolibrary.ca. I will also put that in the chat. If anybody has any questions, any suggestions or comments, no comment or suggestion is too small. You can always send me an email anytime. I will also put that in the chat for you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby. Any questions? Yeah, if you got any questions, feel free to use the chat to post them in, and we'll record them and send them on to the appropriate person. Kathy.
Hey, thank you very much, Neil. Thank you, everybody, for attending this. I always look for any opportunity I can to share everything I can think of you might find interesting. So I have a little list here. First thing I thought I would talk about, and I feel like Neil might talk about this a little bit later, but a number of years ago, another city councillor, and I feel like it was Marianne, but it might have been Jenna, asked for a heritage study to be done for Beaverbrook. You know, it is a very unique neighborhood where, you know, whether it's the housing, the rock outcroppings, the natural green space, just the design of the type of neighborhood pathways and streets and lighting and all of that is very unique. And it was very special when it was first designed and planned. And the request has been made that it be designated as a heritage district of some sort. Now, the city has different designations. And so what has happened recently—
I'm coming, honey, I'm here.
I think someone maybe needs to go on mute. But what has happened recently is the provincial government has changed the legislation on heritage districts. So what we wanted to do was to make sure that Beaverbrook was still studied and some determination was made. At the same time, and my next item is about our zoning bylaw. When the city passed its official plan a couple of years ago, what that triggered was a complete a complete review of all of our bylaws as a city that now have to match up with the new official plan and all of the details that went into the new official plan. So the zoning bylaw review is going on right now, and it will be, we have right in front of us now that is up on the city website, and it will be up on my website if it's not up there already, the draft of this new zoning bylaw. Now, the draft of the new zoning bylaw indicates that there will be a number of things that may impact all of our neighborhoods. And my question to city staff was, however, if Beaverbrook is undergoing a heritage study that would, you know, give it a unique designation, how does that match up with the zoning bylaw review? And so city staff haven't gotten back to me yet, but my understanding is they will be putting holds on certain neighborhoods while a number of different things are going on. So I'm thinking that might be the response we get, that this new zoning bylaw won't necessarily apply to Beaverbrook until we have more of a clear idea of what the heritage designation may or may not mean. So that is something I wanted to talk about in tandem. The other thing I wanted to update everyone was on 100 Weeping Willow. If you were to listen to my comments at committee the other day, as it passed at committee, then it passed at council. So that apartment building has been approved to be built. If you had listened to my comments, you would have heard me say, I don't think anybody really wants that apartment building to be built. However, we do know we need more housing. It's just that I think people have gotten quite used to a nice open space there. And a number of residents certainly commented they didn't want to lose that toboggan hill that the kids play on. However, the design was always for 2 apartment buildings to be there, and one was built a long time ago, the other was not. Now the design has come in for that apartment building to be built, and you can thank Neil Thompson and the Beaverbrook Community Association as a whole, and former councillor Marianne Wilkinson for working with the developers to make the building the best it can be, really. The original design had it right up against Varley. Through the work of Neil and Marianne and other community members, the developers agreed to move the building further into the lot and turn sort of somewhat in a different configuration with a lower number of floors at Varley. I think that it's probably as good as it could be. Now, if you listened at committee, not that I think you do this all day, is listen to committee meetings, but I also asked the question about the roadway. People had complained about the traffic on Varley. Could there be a road directly out to Taryn that would have people not having to come onto Varley and go all the way around and adding more congestion? So interestingly, staff said that is still something that can be determined and made to work during site plan, which will take place over the next many months. So that was a hopeful sign. It is a possibility that a roadway could go right out onto Taryn, and staff are willing to look at that and said it was possible. The second thing staff said in that meeting was that the toboggan hill would be a possibility and could be determined because with the building moved further into the lot, there will be a community park at the front near Varley that will run into, I believe it's Alice Wilson Woods. And there will be a community consultation on the design of what's in that park. It's not a huge park or anything, but nonetheless, it may be possible to have still a little bit of a toboggan hill or a berm, as is currently there. So I wanted to definitely tell you those things. And then the Varley Leacock Taryn sidewalk project is going to be underway this probably spring, summer. The complete design is to be finished mid-May. Any neighbor who wants to be connected directly to the designer and to the construction crew can be. There is a project lead. So you contact us and we will get you in contact immediately with the project lead. And so far what we've seen is that project lead has gone out directly to houses to make sure that the impact on everyone's properties is minimal. So either through me or through Neil, you can get in contact with that project lead. Sandwell Green Fitness Park, city staff are waiting for the construction schedule, but the installation of this fitness equipment is expected to happen this summer. And it will be, I believe, 4 stations. I have the map as well. If anyone's interested, I can send you the little map of the 4 stations right along the pathway so that people could run, do their exercises in the little stations, similar to that participation park we used to have a long time ago, but not exactly. And slightly different from other ones you've seen where all the equipment is in one square or rectangle. This is like little stations. So that is exciting and coming soon. And then Westlock Park play structure is, I think, as we speak, being deconstructed and then will be reconstructed because it needed to be upgraded. The other thing I'll quickly say is that the Canada Beaverbrook Community Association has put in an application for the councillors' funds for community events. And that money should be flowing to the community association because it met all the criteria if you haven't received it already, but for $1,900, which will hopefully allow the KBCA to run some events and hold more barbecue parties, whatever it is that you want to be doing with that money, getting people out and meeting each other. Last thing I wanted to just go over, and I'm happy to answer questions on anything. The Hydro Corridor project, I know this is Morgan's grant, but it is an interesting project that I would just say to everyone, if you want to come out to the consultation evening that we're having, it's in my newsletter. I believe it's May 6th or 7th, but I'll be putting it in the newspaper column as well. And it's a discussion on the planning well, the history of the hydro corridor and then the planning going forward for all that could be in that hydro corridor. So it's an interesting night. And as Barbara was saying early, please come out to the Carp Watershed Flood Mapping consultation evening. I'm sure Barbara has a calendar in front of her. I got to flip and change my glasses to get the date. And I'll tell you that in a second. Or maybe I'll let Barbara say that. She probably knows what night it is because it's coming up soon.
Counselor, Thursday,
Yep.
May 2nd, open house 4 to 8 at the Canada Beaver Brook Community Center.
Thank you. Thursday, May 2nd. And then the last thing is on Friday morning this week, I have a counselor coffee chat at the Mille Lacs Center at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you have even more questions, please come out and have coffee with us. It's right across from the counselor's office there in the Mille Lacs Center. So those are the main things. I could talk for 10 hours, but I thought I'd try to target them as much as I could to Canada Beaverbrook, knowing who else is going to speak. So happy to answer any questions.
I'd just like to do a follow-up on the heritage status. That was really kicked off by Marianne Wilkinson. And many years ago, I met with the heritage planners at the city and dragged them out here. In fact, they were the people who inspired us to do what is now a regular walking tour with Heritage Ottawa, which I give. I'll be doing it this fall. It's been held about 6 or 7 times over the years. It's very popular. So I think it costs $15, but we can almost do a couple in the community. So a couple of key things there in terms of heritage status. One of them is our streetlights, which the KBCA refurbished a number of years ago. And one of the bones of contention is whether they remain or whether the city should start replacing them. And one of the things we want to see maintained is the heritage corner lights and the lawn lights, because that's our actual streetlight structure. There's really no place to put a lot of the larger kind of street lights in the community just because of the way it was built and how the streets are designed. The other aspect for heritage is to go after what Bill Charon was looking at, and this has also got some fairly good head nods from the heritage people at the city. Was it's designed, nature is king. This is all about nature. It's not about the houses. It's about the setbacks of the lawns. It's about the walkability. It's about the green space. It's about the pathways and the corridors as a key part of the community. I would say at this point, Bill Charon was right, and where most of the apartments are going is at the periphery. So certainly, I noticed I was driving by the other day, there were no less than 4 sky cranes all busy building, multi-story apartment buildings south of Campo, which is exactly where those were all designed to be. And 1131 Terran, I noticed when I drove by it the other day, they're now calling it the Point. So they had a little sign up saying, now renting rooms in the Point, and they had an arrow pointing off because it was sort of like Canada's own Flatiron building. Anyway, so just to give you some brief stuff on that. So we'll see. I'll hook up with you later, Kathy, and see if there's some chatting we should be doing with the heritage planners at the city.
Yeah, for sure, Neil. And I've already sent them directly to you because the planners that we have on that have been around for many, many years. So they worked with Marianne. They knew you right away. And they said, well, do you recommend that we talk to Neil? And I said, and Marianne. And so I gather will be reaching out to you. But yeah, that is underway and should be soon that they contact you.
Okay, very good. So Barbara, you're up on KGPC.
Hi, Neil, and everyone in Beaverbrook. We had a discussion earlier. I'm not sure what you call Beaverbrookians. Are you Beaverbrookians or Beaverbrookites or what exactly? I'm a Canada Lakean, so I'm not sure, but it's a pleasure to have crossed the third hole and be with you folks tonight. And it was great to be here the day after Earth Day. And Earth Day is particularly important to our cause and to our communities. And, how many times do you hear the word green when I come to your community association meetings and you come to our town halls, etc. So really a pleasure to be with you. And it's been a quiet few months, although busy in the background. Councillor Curry and I seem to have reason to talk frequently. And nonetheless, to the public view, our issue doesn't seem to move along, but we are moving it along in the background, and that's what's important. So we're still working on the appeal of the LaBrosse decision as far as Club Link and its plans to develop the KGC go. The process is it's a step process. It's quite well defined, as the lawyers explain it to me. And the first step in it was the city perfecting its appeal submission to the Court of Appeal, which it did, and what it was submitted and accepted in late March. So that's been underway. Secondary to that, once that step is done, the clock resets and the 60-day timer starts on Club Link's submission in response to the city's appeal of the decision, as well as opportunities for other parties like the KGPC to put our submission in. We can't really, it's not reasonable or really financially smart to start investing in that work until we know what's in the city's document. So that city's document is now out. And I should also say, by way of information, I'm literally today working on our e-news, which should be out within the day or so. And the link to that city document will be up on our website as we do share and has been our past practice. Excuse me. So the next step is within the end of May. I don't know. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but the end of May, we will have provided feedback to the court. And in that window as well, we have to hammer out how much time we anticipate is required for the actual appeal hearing. This is part of the process, how much time the parties are going to take in their presentations. And that, if we can't figure it out, is going to go to what's called an appeal management conference with one of the executives at the Court of Appeal. The coalition is very grateful. The city yesterday recognized the roadblock that we're having with both the city requiring major time as the lead party in the appeal, Club Link by mandate having the time it needs to respond to the appeal, but the coalition as an intervening party also getting time. The thought was that the expectation that the appeal court would want to dedicate only half a day to this matter, and we're troubled to get enough time for all the parties in there. So the city has offered to take the lead, which is their role, to request a full day for the hearing in hopes, I mean, I think we're all quite comfortable that we can get the time we need to do the job we need to do, particularly for the city and the coalition in defense of the 40% agreement. So we'll have some work to do on that and a meeting hopefully within a month or so with the executives that will help decide that. In the end, I suspect, I'm told, we don't probably need the full day, but we certainly need more than 2.5 hours, that kind of thing. So we'll probably settle for something in the middle. So that is underway. And again, I always like to take the opportunity to say thank you to all of our supporters who came through for us in spades in November at our town hall. So financially, we're in a very good place right now. That's why you're not hearing from us. That's why we're not pounding the drums. We want to leave the opportunity for Neil to beg, borrow to get his lighting problem fixed, and community walls to be built, and community programs developed and supported at the library for Abby. So wherever else funds can go, we don't want to take more than our share, and we're grateful for where we sit financially right now. So I want you all to know that. You'll hear more from us, but as I say, we've got an e-news coming out, should come out this week, that will have the document in it, and you can go through it and read it. And then in due course, you'll hear our response. You'll hear Club Link's response. And then you'll hear more about how we hammer out going to the appeal, the Court of Appeal. I can't tell you yet. We've been waiting 2.5 weeks to hear from Club Link now, actually 3 weeks, on whether they are again going to oppose the participation of the KGPC, the coalition on behalf of our community. We believe that case law has changed at the Court of Appeal and they won't be allowed to do it. And we've challenged them to go and update themselves. So we're hoping that we can avoid that circumstance again. But if it happens to us, we'll deal with it and we'll make sure you're aware of what's going on. So before I leave this, thanks again, Councillor Curry, for all your good help in the background, helping us sort through this issue. And I think we've got a solution at hand now that or at least a path that will give us a solution. So always could not do without you in our corner. Neil also asked me to spend a couple of minutes just to make sure you're aware of another issue. It's also going to be in my e-news that's coming out this week. But Karen McCrimmon, our newly elected MPP, not a year on the job yet, has done yeoman service in the background, launching her first private members bill at Queen's Park. And it's called Bill 168, Stormwater Flood Prevention Act. So for those of you who are supporters, you know how important we see stormwater on our issue. It is the essence of what the golf course is. It's truly a natural component of the Canada North Stormwater Management System. It's integrally linked with the city infrastructure, and it is the reason why, if it can't be a golf course, it has to be a green space. And it has to be an absorptive property at the headwaters of the Kizell Drain. So all to say, though, we are not the only ones with this problem. And you're hearing, it turns up with almost every one of these golf course development issues that you hear about. The stormwater mediation function is central to these large open spaces. But in reference to that, MPP McCrimmon realized that what the cities, the municipalities, and the townships are dealing with is cumbersome. We're dealing with outdated policies, laws that were developed currently right now in Ontario in 2003 and 2008, notwithstanding climate change, intensifying floods, ever warming temperatures that are creating these massive storms, tied again to the droughts and wilderness fires that all around us are seeing. Add to that the lack of investment and maintenance in some areas of the province in the actual stormwater natural infrastructure. So our townships and municipalities out cleaning out the rivulets, the catchment areas, the marshes, so that the stormwater can actually flow through these areas, or is it stopped and resulting in the massive flooding of fields, farmland, adjacent properties, etc. It's a really large issue, a really cumbersome issue, but it starts with good policy and it starts with good information. And practice, as put forward by Karen McCrimmon, calls for the creation of a government manual in Ontario that will set the minimum standards and practices to support good stormwater management operation, both in the rural and township setting, the small city centers, small urban centers, as well as the large municipalities. You have to remember that the smaller urban centers and the townships especially do not have the tax base like Ontario's second largest city, Ottawa, does, to support the planning engineering and stormwater management engineering sections that we have. So as a result, these areas are all in the hands of the developers, who come with development applications and promises sometimes as to what stormwater management is going to look like when they're finished. And it may well be the case, but it may not be the case as well. And we have our own example here with Canada Golf Club. At the core of our argument is that the stormwater proposal from this developer, this group of developers, does not bear the weight of testing at the present time. There's no proof that it's going to succeed. And when that happens, once the development is done, in our case, the City of Ottawa will bear the liability. In the other cases, the municipalities and townships do. And again, you only have to turn your head to it to realize a lot of these folks are flying forward on a wing and a prayer. They don't know whether these systems are going to fly or fail, especially in the face of climate change as it's coming at us. Unfortunately, she got a lot of support. Unfortunately, the majority of Conservatives did not, and dunked the bill on its second reading on March 26th. But Karen is not daunted. Private members' bills, once they die in a legislative session, can be brought back in the next session. And we expect an election in Ontario in the next coming year. So that may not be too far away. But I will put a link to the bill in our upcoming e-news. And I also have a great article that you can refer to that talks about some of the implications of the bill. And I encourage you to read about it, because stormwater management is a huge, huge issue for us. I'm sure Councillor Curry would not if I asked her, does that consume a fair amount of your time here in Canada North? It's a big problem, especially with all the development we're facing. It's got to be done right, but it's not just here, it's everywhere in Ontario. And last but not least, I'll re-mention again, thanks, Councillor, on the matter of stormwater management. If you want to get an opportunity just to understand it a little bit better, because we're not all stormwater management engineers, that's for sure. This carp floodplain mapping open house is coming up next week on May 2nd. Just around the corner from wherever you are at the Canada Beaverbrook Community Center. And it's from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. So you can walk in, look at the maps, ask the questions. We all see the beautiful floodplains as we drive along Canada Avenue. Some of us, I hope you take the time to stop there once in a while. When the weather's nice, it's a beautiful walk along the little walkway there. But understanding how it works and the importance to our community is essential. And so I leave you with that thought as well. I'll be there. I hope to see you there. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us or write me on my email is always on in our newsletter. And before I go, I also can't leave without saying thanks to your Neil Thompson and Peter Chapman and Kevin McCarthy. The last two serve as directors at Canada, at the KGPC, and I'm forever grateful. And Neil is our go-to tech guy, volunteer extraordinaire. So he represents you well. And I also know there are several other residents of Beaverbrook on our board. We also have Jeff McGowan, who is not here tonight. And who am I missing, Neil? I don't want to miss anybody else. Beaverbrook on the board. Is Jeff the only one not here tonight?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but I thank you for sharing them with us. They're all a load of wonderful energy, and they keep us strong. So thank you. Good to chat with you.
Thank you, Barbara. So I'm just going to play a little clip here. This is from Angela LaRusso, who has been a director for capacity at WOCRC for almost 25 years, one of the most senior people there. So a very large hand in setting up health, wellness, and safety for the community. It's a huge footprint they have. It's everywhere from their location right now is down near Castle Frank and Hazeldean Road. And they cover off from there to Fitzroy Harbor to Carlton Place border. It's a very huge catchment basin, and they have a lot of services.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Lavriso, and I am a capacity developer at Western Ottawa Community Resource Center. And I'm here virtually this evening to talk about some of the programs and services that we offer in Canada, Goulburn, and West Carleton. So we have several locations to help better serve our clients. Our main building is at 2 McNeil Court. We've recently opened Hollier House, which is in Bell's Corners. We also offer our adult day program at Algonquin College. And we offer programs in Fitzroy Harbor, Constance Bay, and of course our shelter. And we also utilize several locations across, again, our catchment, including Carp, Corkery, Stittsville, Beaverbrook, Hazeldean, and Bridlewood. So some of the programs we offer, we have our Violence Against Women program. We have our shelter. We have services for children, youth, and families, which include the Zone, Querios, which is our 2S LGBTQ plus program that we offer in Canada, our rural counselor that runs programs across our rural catchment area, and we offer the occasional workshops for parents and community partners. Our Early On program, we do all kinds of both in-person and virtual programs, drop-in, playgroup, training opportunities. We have our Toys on Tours, family system navigation, and playgroup support. Also, we do community development, and we do that through advocacy. We do that through relationship building and working with community. We also have our community support services, and we run a whole range of programs for seniors as well as adults with disabilities. And this includes our foot care clinic, our diners club, our craft group, Meals on Wheels, our Snow Go Assist program, our adult day program, both via telephone, Zoom, caregiver support via telephone, Zoom, service arrangement, and transportation. We also do counseling, and we offer counseling for the entire age demographic. We also have crisis support and intervention. So we do have intake hours. We also do a lot of kind of system navigation and referral to other agencies. And we also have our counselor available both by phone and in person. I've already mentioned our children and youth programs. On site, we have access to free computers. So there is computer and internet use, and there's also training for with volunteers for residents. We have a volunteer resources. So we're always looking for volunteers. We work with placement students, university, high school. We also work with community members and residents in community to provide volunteer support to all of the programs that we offer. Our Violence Against Women program that I talked about earlier, we offer violence against women counseling. We have a Children Who Witness program. We have our shelter, as I said before. We have peer support, transitional and housing support are all some of the programs that we run. I've talked again about our VAW and our Early On program that we offer. For crisis counseling, we offer drop-in hours. We have Monday from 9 a.m. to 11:30, Tuesday from 1 to 3:30, Wednesday from 12 to 7, Thursday from 1 to 3:30, and Friday from 1 to 3:30. And again, you know, the schedule can change, so please contact our main number to ask to speak to a counselor. So some of the limitations around our counseling: we do not offer couples or family counseling, but we are, however, committed to working with couples and families. And so we would make the recommendations and referrals in order to support that. Again, these are our walk-in hours that I went over. Our early on program. So we have our updated April calendar right now. For Beaverbrook, we do offer a program drop-in on Thursday mornings from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. And this is at the Beaverbrook, the Canada Beaverbrook Community Center. But you can see that we offer programs throughout our catchment every day of the week, including Fridays. Some of the programs, just to give you kind of a bit of a snapshot, we have, like I mentioned, some of our open drop-ins. We also do stroller walks. We do little movers, outdoor adventures, baby and me, baby wearing dance and moves, etc. So all of this can be found on our website. So if you go on our website, you can find the most updated calendars for all of the programs that we offer. So for youth, we offer programs like the Zone Drop-In, which happens in at our the Lions Pump House. It's a hangout for youth ages 12 to 17 to meet new people, try new activities. They can email us directly, parents can email as well, or they can contact our main number. Here are some of the programs that are happening. Thursday evenings tends to be a staple night for our Canada Aquarios that we've been running now for a number of years. And then some of our rural programs that I've identified, they tend to move around. It's usually an 8-week program. We've just we just completed a program in South Carleton and Stonecrest, and now we're starting programs in Carp at Huntley Centennial, as well as in Stittsville at the Frederick Bantam. Again, an overview of the programs that I talked about. You can again access these descriptions on our website. A sample for community support. So these are our seniors programs, as well as programs for adults with disabilities. As I mentioned earlier, we offer a wide range from caregiver support to French social programs. And like, again, here is a list of some of the programs that we're offering right now. Games galore, crafts and conversation, to name a few. And as I said earlier, our catchment area is Canada, Goulburn, and West Carleton. And so we service that area for most of our programs and services. Some of our programs are citywide, VAW, the shelter, but our other programs are catchment specific. And we partner with a number of community agencies. So a number of agencies are seconded and have space at our locations. And we're also funded by multiple funders, both federally, municipally, provincially. And that is it. Thank you for your time.
I just wanted to say thank you to the Canada Beaverbrook Community Association for continuing to be our sponsor, and we at First Canada really, really appreciate it. Thank you also for the opportunity to give a brief update tonight. Some of the things that we've been doing at First Canada Scouts, I won't bore you with all the wonderful things that we are doing, but some of the things that we do to for the community are we maintain the rink surfaces at Stephen Leacock Public School. Despite our best efforts and a great group of ice rink maintenance personnel, it was not a great year for skating. So that being that. The bike exchange, that will go ahead this weekend, but big change, it's going to be at Jack Chiron Arena rather than the John Mille Center. Jack Chiron Arena is in Glencairn. Unfortunately, one of the recreation centers had a problem making ice, and we were moved out of the Mille Center because of it. No problem. So you can drop off your bikes on Friday evening starting at 5 and on Saturday morning prior to the sale, which takes place at the same place, which is the Jack Chiron Arena from 8:30 till 11 this Saturday, April the 27th. Great way to support our community. We often have up to about 300 bikes. It depends on the year because we never really know what we're going to get because it's a consignment sale. But saying that, last year we were able to donate some of the excess funds that we raised back to the community, and we gave monies to the Canada Food Cupboard, and we also gave monies to No One Left Behind, which is a Scouts Canada initiative, which allows everyone to join Scouts Canada. Unfortunately, we were asked to move out of Canada Research Park facilities where we had our bike repair facility and the equipment storage, affectionately known as Quartermaster Storage, in Scouts Canada. Many of the local scouting groups were asked to move out of their storage facilities, no big deal. But so we plan to buy a sea container, and we're going to store that at a scouter's house who's got a large property for now. But if you happen to know anyone who's got some spare space that they're burning to be sea utilized, we can do that. We at First Canada are doing well post the pandemic. Our numbers seem to be climbing back up. The only thing which is holding us up is that we could use more scouters or leaders. We'd love to have local youth on roll, but unfortunately, we have a waiting list now because we can't get their parents. We need their parents to sign up as scouters. If you know anyone that wants to be that, we're always welcome. And we just wanted to say thank you for continuing to let us use the Beaverbrook Community Center. We have regular Saturday Beaver Colony meeting there. We have had a few sleepovers, or is that stay awakes there? I don't know. You'd be the judge. We also held a first aid course there in the spring, likely do so again in the fall. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Melanie. The KBCA is also the official sponsor of the First Canada Scouts. So
You are. That's why I thanked you for that. So, yay. Thank you.
all right. Rob, you're on.
Hi, I'm Rob McCauley. I'm one of the directors of the KBCA, and this group of pictures here shows the tree inventory in progress. It's been in progress for several years. We, during the summer season, tackle a cluster or a block or a few streets, such as this fellow here is assessing the size and health of this tree. Neighborwoods is one of the KBCA's ongoing projects, and its intent is to foster stewardship of the urban forest and promote community interest in the renewal and the maintenance of the wonderful trees that we have. And we've been lucky to have a very strong group of volunteers. Can you scroll for me, Neil? Next slide. Or there we go. Okay, so yeah, we work on other projects as well with the city and other organizations like the Community Associations for Environmental Sustainability. Next slide, please. So what we did last year, of course, the tree inventory happens in the summer season. We completed the door-to-door tree inventory of the Lismore cluster, including a few interesting courts. And that included, the key component really is to educate residents on what to look for with their trees and how to optimize the continued health. And that starts with a training course that we hold. Usually it's the first week of June. And then with the people that have volunteered, and we have many that come back every year, we go ahead and tackle another street or two. A few other bullets here. We also tackle removing some invasives from the Beaverbrook parks. That's a big challenge for all parts of Ottawa, really. And it's something we can only devote a limited amount of time with because our focus is mainly on the inventory. And we did publish an inventory report on the eco services of the trees. So that's where we try to dollarize the impact of shading and other key factors that trees do provide. And we continue to encourage the use of the city's excellent Trees and Trust planting program, which seemed to be oversubscribed for a while, but I was successful last year and found it to be a pretty quick turnaround to have a request processed where the city will plant the tree, you agree to maintain it for 3 years, and it goes in the city space between you and your house and the road. It's a great program. Next slide, please. So similar plans for this year. We're going to do the tree inventory and data collection, and the Community Association for Environmental Sustainability has started having a variety of workshops, some of which we've attended as participants, looking at things like energy conservation in the home and alternative forms of like backup electric power versus sticking with the carbon footprints that we have. We also provide input into the city forestry department. For example, in Varley Park, we advise as to what we think of their plan to put certain species here and there. And they were able to accommodate a special request to plant some white oak because we don't have many in Beaverbrook. So that's good. We're also planning to add some additional educational stuff like either a lecture on a green topic like biodiversity or perhaps as a webinar. We'll see how that works out. We've got the community center that we could use. And the last thing, I guess, is you can go to the next slide, Neil. It shows what we've done so far. The green, obviously, is the trees that we've surveyed. And one thing we want to do differently this year is re-inventory a previously interviewed street to see what the delta has been over the past 5 years. We have a sense that we're losing ground, not gaining, but you can't manage what you don't understand. And that's really what's behind doing the inventory in the first place. So that should be educational. But that picture is, we expect to add another section somewhere in the middle here, probably. We do have a number of co-ops and other or schools even that are a little different in terms of arranging to do the inventory. It's not just private homes. That's it for my section, Neil. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Neil. All right, so we'll get into the really boring stuff where I get to talk. Community center, we're seeing a continued positive trend in terms of use of the community center. It's one of the few places they're not building any more community centers as a general rule of thumb in terms of either the city sponsoring them or developers putting them in. So it's under continuing use. And the last couple of summers, we've actually added a full-time summer tenant for the months of July and August, which is really helping us in terms of income to do the renovations we've been planning for so long. We had some issues with fire safety plans, or there seemed to be a lot of lost paperwork and things that hadn't been done in many years. All those have been finally resolved. As Melanie will be able to agree to that because they've been having sleepovers, which was not possible while there was still some fire safety issues that were in limbo. We're doing a cleanup
Agreed.
again this year. We're doing it predominantly as virtual in that we're asking people to sign up. So we've got about a half a dozen groups who've signed up. And we're certainly recommending that people put it off to at least the May 10th weekend because things tend to be rather boggy in a lot of areas, and particularly in the trails, et cetera, where you can do more damage than good until we've actually ended up in a much drier climate. Certainly some of the heavy rains we've had made it a little very easy to destroy some of the creek beds, et cetera. Rob has obviously talked about sustainability, and again, the KBCA is fairly heavily involved in the Clubland Golf Course. Planning 113151 Tarrant is winding up. I would expect them to be finished in landscape by the end of this fall. 100 Stacy, I'm not sure where that one's going. It's been approved, but as we've seen with so many approved zoning development, the developers are really putting that in the bank for when they think they can actually charge money for it. There certainly was a burst of renewed construction that I would observe in the last 12 months, whereas it was a period of 2 or 3 years after COVID-19 hit, where suddenly the active construction sites had shut down and nobody was doing anything. So things seem to be going in waves. So we will see where that one goes. There was some discussions that we were involved in also with what was going to be happening in Nokia and also Main and Main. That's going ahead. And again, it's one thing that certainly stressed that, especially tied in very heavily with the announcement by Doug Ford in terms of contributing some money for the bus rapid transit, is a lot of these developments are not going to be viable without bus rapid transit or some increasing transportation capacity going up March Road and for the community as a whole. I think certainly there's been discussion on LRT Phase 3, and I just threw it out there saying, well, why don't we just do BRT all the way to Moody Drive? It's going to be much faster to do, much cheaper, and probably meet our needs, especially when autonomous vehicles start coming out. We've been lightly involved in the new official plan and transportation master plan. My own personal observation is the master plan is really not focusing on any areas of Ottawa that are experiencing or have planned extreme growth. The estimates for when they're going to be doing work for construction are all 10, 15, 20 years away, whereas there's a lot of these new developments that are starting to gear up. I've noticed, there's several up March Road that are actually starting to move ahead. And people are saying, I'm not sure we're going to be able to have, whether you like cars or not, if the road's not there, you can't put transit. 80, 85, 90% of all our transit is on roads. So you can't, if you don't have the road infrastructure to support vehicles, then you can't support transit either. Stormwater management, again, we've been heavily involved in that. Certainly, as I said, I did a study where I looked at all the flows that go on, and Beaverbrook is certainly at risk. You might be surprised, but the Canada Golf Course is higher than even the highest roads in Beaverbrook, including Tiffany Crescent. If there's anything that happens in the Beaver Pond and Canada Lakes golf course such that they get flooded, then a lot of Beaverbrook's going to be underwater. Heritage lighting, again, we've had some lighting. I've been working with Kathy where there's been some damage to some of the lights, and the city has been quite reluctant to refurbish them or get replacement parts in. So I'll be following up with that because it's spring. So there's no, may have been a reasonable thing to say not worth doing in the winter, but I think it's time that those things get fixed. And we're certainly looking to the heritage study. That's certainly interested in seeing where that could go for us in terms of helping preserve the nature and character of Beaverbrook. I would make the following. Certainly, one of the comment you hear about missing metal and putting a 4-story infill, and I'd go, good luck with doing that on some of our properties, because you might be able to put the house in, but you just fill up the streets with vehicles, because the roads outside of even Varley and Leacock, the street in front of my house is only 6.5 meters wide. And to put that in perspective, your standard Toyota Corolla is 2 meters wide. So you park on both sides of the street. You certainly can't fit an ambulance down it, and certainly can't do that in the winter either. So there are some inherent limitations to this community. 2024 plus, again, we're looking to put again an emphasis on volunteers and community involvement. Most of the directors, including myself, have been around here for about 10 years, and we're looking to get to start renewal. We have one new member of our directorship. Unfortunately, she works at a large government group that has a very bizarre schedule, so she could not make it tonight, but she has been gainfully engaged, and we're looking to have more. We're certainly pushing street events, and we're open to doing that. We're happy to sponsor signage and leaflets, and also $250 budget for anybody who is looking to organize, a fairly casual event. We also have all kinds of we have tents and chairs and tables, and certainly the groups that have run these things have done so successfully. And 2 of the 3 have already signed up for doing something in the spring or the fall. But certainly the time we would recommend doing this is mid-May to mid-June, late June, because at that point, certainly for young families, they tend to disappear until after Labor Day. So the next prime time, it's not that you can't run something in July, it's just you're going to get much better participation, including the many people that moved in the last several years who've got young families. So that would certainly be the best after Labor Day. So we've what new for us in the last 18 months has been a regular newsletter, and we're going to be starting a volunteer-specific newsletter for people who are interested in volunteer opportunities. So we're certainly looking for feedback on that always. Actually, here's a question that I will throw to Kathy, which are the sidewalks on Varley and Leacock.
Yeah, so they are starting this spring. Let me just go to my actual notes that Andrew gave me, so I give you the exact, but they are starting this spring. So detailed design is expected to be completed by mid-May. The tender period is to take place following the completion of detailed design for approximately 4 weeks to select a contractor for the project. Construction is anticipated to start around early summer following the contract award and all necessary contract approvals. The overall project's likely to take upwards of 3 to 4 months for completion. And there is a map showing you all the sites, exactly where they will go. If you want me to send that to you, I can send it to you through email. You can contact me and just say, Kathy, can you send me the map? And that's all the detail I have on there. But as I said in my introduction there, if your house is one of the houses that will be impacted, there is a main project coordinator. So for Halton Terrace and Morgan's Grant, when this happened last summer, that person will contact you, come out to your house, work with you all the way through to make sure that everything is done properly and explain to you exactly what's going on at all times. So let me know if you want more information. Just send me an email, kathy.curry@ottawa.ca, and I'll send you the map and the contact even for the project coordinator.
Okay, thank you for that, Kathy. So could I get a motion from somebody to accept the president's report? Rob?
Oh, sorry, Neil, I was on mute. Yes, I put forward a motion that we accept the president's report as was tabled.
Lawson, second.
All right. Unless there's any dissent, carries. Treasurer's report. Our income has rebounded to pre-2019 levels. As I said, our rental rates have we've had to review them and upgrade them, and I'll get into more of that. We have changed our cleaning service. It was a gentleman who had been working with us for many years, but he was well past the retirement age and was finding it harder to do. Plus, we have, as I said, we've now got organizations that are here full-time in the summer. So the occupancy rate we have and their requirements and cleaning needs have increased. So we've now gone with the professional service. The downside of that is it's more expensive. It's not that we've got a luxury service, but we had the luxury, if you will, on our point of having a fairly inexpensive service, and now we're having to pay market rates. And we're lucky to find somebody who is actually co-located in the Beaverbrook Mall, so that we've got somebody there available to us throughout the week. Renovations, we finished the first round of renovations, and we'll doing some level of work annually over the next 3 years. We're leveraging the city capital grant program, which provides 50% funding. We need to go through that. Unfortunately, the timing of that is you can only submit once a year. And then it can take up to 8 months to get approval. And of course, part of the problem with that is by the time you've got the approval, the amount of money you need has changed. So it takes a bit of work, but we're going to follow through on that. In community projects, we're certainly open to all sorts of things. A number of years ago, we sponsored replacing the big signs that are sitting on Compo and up on Stacy that say Beaverbrook. So we got some sponsors from the community, and also in terms of so some of the lumber firms, et cetera. So we got much of the materials for that. We also got our friendly neighborhood Home Hardware up the street who donates the finishing and sanding materials that the scouts refinish that every couple of years. So we're certainly looking for more things of that nature. So looking at cash on hand, we're certainly still fairly cash flush at this point. We have $70,000, of which about 20 to 30,000 of that is working capital. But our net income is starting to drop because we're getting hit with inflation like everybody else, and the city grant is only going up at 2% a year, whereas over the last 5 years, inflation has been about 3.5%. Also, the cost of our labor, including cleaning and other services we pay on a part-time basis, are increasing. So we're having to look at increasing our rates and making adjustments, and also making the best use we can of the city. Again, if you look at this is the annual budget, what the actual expenditure was last year versus this year. We're projecting about $20,000 net tapping of our cash reserves to pay for the renovations, and that's even with counting on getting a reimbursement for the first round of renovations from the city, which is a major capital grant of about $16,000. So we're still budgeting, to move as aggressively as we can. The community center has had some of the more structural things. One of the other things we've had done at the city's expense, which we're grateful for, is they have put in a new heat pump for the first floor main room, which was, the air conditioning was going to be due shortly for replacement anyway. But that certainly helps in terms of that, in terms of the more prevalent use we're getting throughout the summer. Plus, it's going to help us with electricity bills. So one of the things I would just point out here, we did some analysis to see where things are going. And if you look at the lines on here, our total income has still been rising. But if you look at the blue line, and our costs have been going up. So right now, we used to be running a surplus every year, which we could put towards renovation. We're now starting to see a somewhat negative perspective. So while we can continue to do renovations for the next little while, at some point, we're going to have to reach out to the community to help fund that, and also reinstitute membership fees for membership in the KBCA, which we're trying to look at with other community associations, including Kathy Curry, because one thing that the city does offer to some community associations is a discount on membership of many sports activities with the city if you can show a community membership card. So we're hoping to get some sweeteners on that. As I said, renovation phase 1 is finished. That included a new handicapped accessible door. So it's got an opener for it, revised handicap parking, a bike rack, upgraded electrical, and all the lighting is now LED. And again, we're working with the city to get funding for that in 2024 plus. Our next round is to upgrade the second floor washrooms and put baby changing tables on both floors. And also upgrade the staircase in terms of materials and much better handrail. Phase 3, which will be sort of our last big push, is new paint, flooring, and window daylight control. If anybody's been in there on an afternoon, late fall, you get quite a blast of sun coming in from the west, which can be very difficult to do art classes in there if that's the case. Also look at getting new furniture. We've been gradually upgrading the chairs and tables, which have some of them are long past their prime. We're also looking at, and a little farther in the future, is a kitchen refresh. It does get used somewhat, certainly more so as we're getting more use out of it, and it's definitely need of being upgraded from 1965 decor. Plus, we're looking at doing a first floor cleanup, a coffee snack area, and part of the first floor main room, and that's for a couple of years from now. So if I could have someone to motion the acceptance of the treasurer's report.
Kevin will move to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
All right, very good.
Who?
Robert seconds it.
All right, so we're coming towards the end here. So we're looking for voting on the existing slate of officers. We have had one new cluster. So one of the vacant things on here is wrong. It's been all faded by Katie, and she is our new board member. But we're still lacking a treasurer, which is most significant because that helps with her financial direction. A secretary, and basically to get enough of a quorum here to have other people who can continue to work on projects, because as Barbara points out, 3 of us are all very heavily involved as directors in 2 organizations, which is the KGPC on the golf course issue and the KBCA. So if the community wants more things done, then we're going to need more volunteers to assist. So are there any additions from the floor for additional members of the KBCA boards and officers? There is not. If I could ask for a motion to accept the slate as presented.
Yeah, I will propose that motion, Neil.
Get a seconder.
Rob will second it. Neil.
All right. So at this point, look for any. I guess at this point, any dissent, given that nobody else was volunteered or didn't volunteer for this. So unless there are any dissenting votes, then we will accept the slate. Okay. Thank you. So again, we can need more people, but we all know that's not going to happen at this point. And so we can close the meeting if there. I think there's one other question from Angela on the 256 bus. I don't tell Kathy if you've got information on that.
Yeah, do we know the new 265 bus that will run through Beaverbrook will it run in both directions? Okay, so there's an email address called New Ways to Ride that if you email it, newwaystoride@ottawa.ca, they tell you all the details of exactly what will happen with the new route. And they actually also ask you, where are you trying to get from and where are you trying to get to? And we can tell you what your best route is for, specifically your own time. But, if you have, if you'd just rather us work with you to do that, you can just email me at kathy.curry@ottawa.ca, and we will get you into contact with the people at OC Transpo who are working on that. So I don't have that in front of me right now, but they've been excellent. Everyone we've sent to them, they've been great with working with them very specifically to help people get to where they need to go, given the route changes. So please reach out either newwaystoride@ottawa.ca or at OC Transpo, .ca. or Kathy.curry at ottawa.ca, and we'll help you out.
Okay, any last words, comments, offers of, cleaning up Allison Wilson Woods on their own? So one thing I will mention, certainly the cleaning Beaverbrook, certainly the classic places where there's a lot of debris that need to get cleaned up at both sides of Tarrant Road, all the way along the length, and also Beaverbrook. We shall also be talking shortly with the high schools, because they typically step up to, or at least our friendly neighborhood high school on Compo, as they usually step up to cleaning the fields around there, because a lot of the people who create that mess are some of the students. So, but that's where it stands for that. So.
First Canada is going to be doing a number of areas to clean up. I think we do the park across from Stephen Leacock. We will also do the park alongside of, oh, what's the name of that street? I think it's Canada Avenue in the Terron Park.
So
There with Terron and Campo.
If you go to our website, you'll find there's a page on there which lists all the areas. If you could email me back with a list of which areas you're going to look at, we can take it off the plate. And so if other people
Will
have
do.
a place to clean up, we can assign other places.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll do that.
All right, very good. All right, unless there's further ado, thank you very much for attending, and that's a wrap for another year, and we'll see you out there.
Thanks so much, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Good job.
Thank you, Neil.
See you later.
Thanks.